Caleb, when you look at Nashville defensively, what makes them a tough team to break down? And then I guess too, your team's so confident offensively. Does that just help going up against a team like that?
Yeah, I think there's no mystery with Nashville, how they've been successful. And I think how they've been successful is a real positive, for their team. I mean, some people talk about how they draw too much or sit in too much, but their coach knows how to win in this league and how to look at the playoffs that they've been in the first 3 years. They're a team that has experience and they're battle tested, and it's about being in the end in the playoffs and in a position to compete for a trophy, and they've done that. So I look at their team, how they play, as a positive. Not easy to go against, but they're tough to break down because defensively they close spaces extremely well, especially in the in the defensive third of the field, and they played a little bit more out of a 4 early in the year. They've since gone to more of a 5, like they played last year. That becomes obviously a 3 in the attack. But when they get into that 5 and they get set up in that 5-4-1, that block of 9 guys is tough to break down. So we need to be smart about how we attack them, how we attack the spaces, and how we create spaces as well. But we would expect it to be a very tight game, and we have to be patient. We have to be clear on how we're creating chances, and we're going to have to manage the transitions and set pieces because they're extremely dangerous in both of those phases.
How challenging of a player is Honey Mukhtar to defend and things he does?
Yeah, he's similar to a lot of 10s in this league. Takes up good positions. He's very technical, intelligent tactically. He can run with the ball. He's very good off the ball as well, and he joins at the right moments in the box. So I think that's what makes him difficult. He can, in the build-up, play between the lines, and he's very clean when he gets the ball. He can turn and drive at you and unbalance you off the dribble individually, but then also he makes great late runs in the box and at times pulls off the line, for cutbacks. So he's just a smart player, very technical, and I don't think the team is as much in a rhythm this year yet. Partly because they've changed formations quite a bit, which has changed a little bit I think the understanding of the team collectively, but also individually, it changes a little bit. A guy like Mukhtar, how he operates. But I think I saw last game against RSL them look more like the team that we saw last year with Leal, Mukhtar, in particular looking more comfortable and creating a ton of chances against RSL. I thought they had the better of the game. Thought they should have scored a couple more goals and won the game. So I would expect they'll go with that, but we've prepared the team, for both systems that they've essentially played. So we'll be ready.
Just to get it out of the way, do you want to provide any update on Lucas?
Yeah, he's doing more and more. He did the warm-up today. It's just a matter of now is he ready to really play full out in this match? So it's probably going to be tight.
You mentioned Nashville a couple times in preseason in terms of their way to grind out results and something that you wanted this team to be better at. How do you incorporate that while also using the guys you have offensively, and obviously you've been scoring goals this year, but how do you kind of take some of what they've done while also using what you guys can do offensively?
I think we've been doing that.
Yeah.
I think we've played very well on the road when you look at it. Actually, getting two points, you could argue we should have more, 6. But by and large, when you look at especially Red Bull, the execution was outstanding. I said it, our expected goals and chance creation was the highest we've ever had on the road. And in terms of their chance creation, we limited their transitions. We limited their box attacking. We limited, their ability to create chances. So I think for me, that's a very pragmatic approach. At home, what we've done is just really followed what we're doing on the road. We're looking at the opponent. We're focusing on our strengths, but also we're trying to take away what the opponent does well. And I think we've done that home and away. And we've been very pragmatic, which is why we're sitting where we're at. Obviously, you've seen, and I've talked about it, there have been in each game some things we need to do better. San Jose closed the game out. Obviously, set piece defending. Those are things we've worked on, and I do see improvement. But we need to show it in the game. And I think we're in a good rhythm right now. The confidence is high. Our fitness is extremely good right now. Our attack, the positions we're getting in, analytics show that, has been very good. And I think, again, open play defensively, we've been very difficult to break down. We're not getting stretched out. We're not letting teams open us up very, very much. It's just making sure in the moments, transitions and set pieces that we do a little bit better. So I think this is going to be a tight game. It'll probably feel a little bit more like a, playoff type game because they don't take many risks. They lost 2 in a row. They're going to want to get a result. They have very good players. And I think they'll make it into a really difficult game. I think they'll break our rhythm. I think they'll be physical on us. I think they'll probably press a little, then drop immediately and take away the spaces in around our attacking third. And then I think they'll be ready to immediately transition with Sapong, Mokhtar, and Leal. So we need to keep good balance, have a good rest defense. And then on set pieces, it'll be basically moments that they're going to see as opportunities to score goals. So I think there's no mystery in the game, what they do, what we're going to do, and the moments that we need to be good.
You talked last year about adjusting to lower.com when you guys moved over there, but a lot of teams in this league didn't have the luxury of starting in a new stadium. Nashville, obviously, the most recent. And then I think you, maybe at Portland, did you guys have, or were you gone before they had the?
Yeah, I was gone.
Okay. Just the idea of having to play so many games on the road, you guys at least were able to open here. I think that's, even if though it took some adjustment, that's a blessing to have this and not have to do what Nashville's going through this year.
Yeah, I'm sure it's tough, right? Start 8 games on the road and then you don't get results, and then your next one's on the road again, and it's not a great feeling when you have multiple road games in a row and you're not getting results. It's always nice to know you have a home game around the corner, because we all know your chances of winning are greater at home, and you feel more comfortable there. So I'm sure what they're going through is not easy mentally. On top of that, they've got Walker Zimmerman and Godoy, 2 of their best players who played, I believe, all 3 games in the window, 90 plus minutes. So, but those 2 guys will play. I wouldn't expect them to rotate. They're not, in that type of position, and I don't think, it's any problem for those guys to turn around and go again. So we've prepared for those 2 to play, but yeah, it's not easy. The travel, obviously, that both those players had, and then obviously their team having to travel every week, and just kind of understanding that there's not a light at the end of the tunnel soon. They still have a bunch more road games, and that's why I think they'll come in just trying to claw for a point and be opportunistic in certain moments and make it really a difficult game for us. I think the coach is very smart. He's going to keep a steady hand, even though they've not been getting results. He'll have them ready. He'll have them with a good plan. It's going to be a difficult game.
Caleb, I know Pedro has played at left back before, but really 4 games into him being the out-and-out starter at that left back position, he's done so well in these first 4 games of breaking the lines with good forward passes. How have you liked what you've seen so far from Pedro, and is it exceeding your expectations at all as what he can bring to this team, especially creating going forward?
Yeah, I think what makes Pedro and Steven both very difficult to stop is their ability to play passes under pressure. There's very few outside backs in our league that can, start an attack as passers and playmakers. Obviously a lot of outside backs are good overlapping and crossing, but when you're playing against a 3-4-3, if that's the way they play, it's important that Pedro and Steven are able to pull out their wing backs and then find switches of play to the midfielders or balls through the lines. And they can do it with either foot. And so you can't just force them outside or force them inside. They can kind of, with their ability to pass with either feet and get you off balance, they can play outside or inside, both of them. So, that's a real key when you're playing against a back five, because most teams will shoot their wing backs on our outside backs, and if we're pulling them out, in high positions, and not able to find switches and passes through lines, then it's easy to just kind of trap us and not allow us to kind of build and play through the pressure. So, I think those two guys in particular are just, you got basically a number 10 at left back that can go right or left and very comfortable, even coming inside, which is interesting. You can pull Pedro inside in almost like a central position at times. You can pull him outside. He can cut it and come to his right. Teams are learning that. You see every team tries to take away his left. Well, that's no problem for him. He can cut it to his right. And the same with Steven. Like Steven even, if Yao pulls wide or Luis Diaz, Steven can go inside almost like a winger, and he played a lot in his career as a winger. So now that position with him inside, it's just difficult to kind of manage and pick up and stop.
I'm gonna go, Steve, do you want to close us out?
Caleb, you had a chance to coach him. Talk about people, the club's honoring him. And how much of a pleasure was it for you to be able to coach him?
Yeah, obviously as a coach, there's a lot of joys that you have, but for me, the greatest joy is coaching players like Pipa, and to be a part of his career, really, and obviously I wish I had more years with him, but outstanding player, one of the best in the league, everybody knows that, but equally as good as a pro and a person, and I think he's a rare player in our club's history just because of those two things. He's such a great guy, on top of being an unbelievable player and a great ambassador for our club. And you're not going to find anybody that's going to say anything bad about Pipa, which is pretty rare for a guy that hurt a lot of opponents. He broke a lot of hearts, and brought a lot of joy to our fans. So it's great to be able to honor him, and I think it's important to do that as well. It's important to do that. Obviously it's always next player, next. We've got Lucas, who's the next 10, right? But we have to celebrate our past 10s and our past legends and our past greats, because they're the pioneers and they've done a lot along the way to pave the way. And I look at every trophy and the blood, the sweat, the tears. It's not just the players that raised it, but it's the players before those players that paved the way.
Just as a follow-up, as a coach yourself, could you see that for him, if that's something that he wanted to do later on in his life or in the next couple of years, as a good football mind too?
I don't know. Sometimes players are smart enough to know that this isn't the best job in the world, all the time. And there's pressures, and it's it is a great job, but it's not for everyone. So I've seen a lot of players like people that want to do it, and a lot that are smart enough to say, yeah, I don't want to do it. So I think it just depends on on what he wants. But I do see a future if he wants to do it. He's a smart player, great leader. He has a coach's mind. So I think he's already starting a little bit to do some coaching. with Miami, and I'm sure if you ask him, he'll say, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But if he wants to, for sure, I could see him being a very good coach at any level.
Thanks, Caleb.